Hello and welcome to Ridgeview Drive. It is here where you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. This is your host Jared, and I have with me Charles, a low level boss. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing good.
Good.
It's kind of late, and so I'm just trying to relax and hang out.
Yeah, I'm trying to relax too with just a sec. I might cut that out. So
No, leave that in. Leave it in.
So what? Like 2 nights ago, you went and saw the new Jumanji movie?
2 nights, or was it last?
I don't think
last night.
It wasn't last night.
Yeah, 2 nights. So pretty fresh in my brain.
Okay. I saw it a few weeks ago, but I think I should be able to remember most of it.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward kind of movie.
Yeah.
I mean that's what you kind of need with a. This is what a popcorn movie should be.
Yeah.
Do we want to kind of say our feelings straight off the bat, or do you want to explain anything about the movie?
You know, we can go ahead. So what'd you think of it?
I don't think I'm liking it as much as you did. I thought it was a perfectly enjoyable movie. I think if you go to movies for, like, just, you know, kind of the spectacle, and if you like watching action movies and stuff like that, you'll love this movie. I think that there's enough jokes for that most people will like. I didn't really find it that funny. I did chuckle during a couple of the jokes. I thought they were pretty well done. Because I do like the dynamic between Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Because I know in real life it's exactly that. They're always messing with each other. And so it was just kind of nice seeing that on screen, because it felt natural, because that's what they do with each other. And
right.
So none of this felt fake. And I don't know. That being said, I don't know what I feel about the movie. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. I'm going to forget about it in a while.
Oh, that makes sense. I think the reason I liked it so much is because my expectations were dirt low. I honestly thought this movie was going to be just dumb. And don't get me wrong, it's dumb. But...
Well, it's dumb, but it has plot armor.
Yeah.
Because it takes place in a video game, in an old video game. So they can go as tropey as you want. And it's like, well, if you play games from, like... The games that it's trying to emulate is, like, 90s kind of early PlayStation kind of games and stuff.
Right.
If it plays into that a lot in a way that it's kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but then it's also like, of course it makes sense. It's plot armor. It just kind of protects it from that. I don't know.
Right. Just real quick, because it reminded me, because you said Dwayne Johnson, then you said The Rock. Brandon just told me this. I had no idea. Do you know why he kind of transitioned to going by Dwayne Johnson?
Was it just to get away from wrestling?
WWE owns The Rock.
Oh, that's right. I never think about that.
So
kind
in
of
the
stuff.
beginning, when he was going by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he probably had some legal trouble and had to drop the Rock part.
Yeah. Well, that not to, I guess, rabbit trail, but that happened with Stephen Colbert. Like, when he had his new show, he had to really make sure that he didn't put on an act of, like, the old character.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's his name, but yet it was still a character owned by someone else.
I wonder why he didn't go back to the original pronunciation of his name, which is Colbert.
Just because that's probably what people know him by, so it'd probably be too weird.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But that's a rabbit trail.
yeah. We're supposed to be talking about Jumanji.
That's fine. Because like there was nothing wrong with the movie. It was like, oh, this is fun. When The Rock or the Dwayne Johnson punches a dude, he goes flying into the atmosphere.
Don't let this new body get your butt whooped. Ow! What the hell?
That's fine. It makes sense to the physics, I guess you would call it, of the world.
Right. Well, I think what elevated it for me was going in, I really thought I'm just going to watch Jack Black being Jack Black pretending like he's a girl.
So that means Bethany?
Oh, wait, Bethany, don't look at it!
No! I'm an overweight middle-aged man. Wait a second, where's my phone?
But not gonna lie, I truly believed that Jack Black was a teenage girl trapped inside of that body. I truly believed it.
I can't even with this place.
He sold it to me.
I think for the most part he didn't overdo it. Some parts you can probably be like, yeah, he's going a little too far with it. But yeah, most of the time it was just like he has a little bit of an accent.
He didn't really do a
believable.
caricature. It was it
Pronounce those syllables.
It's one of those words I have troubles with. So
I know, because it's so close to character. Yeah. Me too.
He didn't do it. Yeah, exactly. Over the top. He kept it level. I don't know if that's the term, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, like he didn't go too campy with it. He literally just, as much as he tried to sound like the actress that he was portraying.
And, like most people, they'd go super hardcore into doing like Valley Girl and that kind of thing. And he does it a little bit, but not too much. Where you're like, oh come on, all right, yeah, you're trying to be a teenage girl. I get it. It didn't feel like that. It really felt like it was a teenage girl trapped inside of Jack Black's body.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the other characters.
I also believed Karen Gillan was uncomfortable in those clothes.
We're in different people's bodies.
I believe that she was also a teenage girl who was just uncomfortable in her own body type of thing. I believed it. I think she sold it to me too. I think that all of the characters sold it.
I think so, because I don't think they tried to overdo it.
Yeah.
Like, I think they erred on the side of like, well, just back it off a little bit, and I think that makes it a little bit more believable. It didn't feel amazing to me. It just didn't feel out of place, and so that could be one of those things. Like they're doing it well to where I don't notice, and maybe I'm just picking negativity out of that. So I got to be mindful of that, because it's one of those things. If you do a good job, nobody notices, kind of thing. And so I understand I could be kind of falling into that a little bit, because. Let's see. Kevin Hart, the character that he's playing, I feel like him and that actor are the same kind of person.
Yeah.
Because a lot of jokes that they play through is like the original guy is a star high school athlete, and he's tall and he's built like a tank.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he gets put into a short guy's body, and that's a lot of the main kind of jokes that they kind of play off of.
Well, I don't have the top 2 feet of my body.
And so I don't feel like that one felt too out of place, because I felt like they seemed kind of similar in like what they like in their personalities. Whereas you go from Dwayne Johnson, and the guy that he's portraying is a really nerdy guy. All of a sudden he's put into a big, huge, bodybuilder's body, like the action hero of the game.
Damn, that is a man right there. Don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry, it's gonna be okay.
And you can kind of feel that sometimes where The Rock was kind of playing awkward.
Right, yeah. Another thing is, he didn't... what I loved is, he could have totally went stereotypical with the Jewish thing, but he didn't. Like, every once in a while I go, oh, that's right, the kid is Jewish, because he would say something like oy vey or something, but it was, like, rare.
Oh, I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah,
I guess so.
If you ever watch it again, try to watch out for that. Every once in a while he'll say a very, like a Jewish type of typical thing.
I remember the oy vey because it kind of felt out of place to me. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Oh, yeah?
But then again, like, if you're playing a nerd, if a nerd's trying to say, like, a catchphrase like that, it's gonna feel out of place.
Yeah, true.
I'm a nerdy guy. I've done stuff like that where it's like, maybe this will be cool to add to my persona, blah, blah, blah. And it's just it's the nerdiest thing. So it's like, that's what I was kind of thinking. It was like, this movie has a lot that helps protect it from being, like too over the top or whatever, because of these kind of things.
Right.
So I don't know. The one part that I really did like, because it ties into real world aspects, did you like the little mention of Robin Williams?
One of the things I liked, but I also didn't like, was that the callbacks were very low. Like, there was almost none, except for the callback to Alan Parrish.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, because it helps kind of. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought I was getting kind of a different impression.
I think they just needed just a little bit more, not too much, just a tad is all. Maybe just a tad. Otherwise, if they went too far, it would have been annoying and obnoxious.
I think a catch-22 there would be like, oh, you're trying to play off the other movies too much, more than the title and
right.
Jumanji itself. Yeah, no, I'm fine without having those callbacks, because whenever they do the callbacks, they leave kind of like, in other movies, they leave a beat for people to go like, oh, and to actually kind of subside from it.
Right.
And they did that the one time with the Alan Parrish reference, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Any more than that, I would have hated.
Well, there was one other callback, I think a lot of people would miss it.
No, I don't think I caught it.
The villain's name. Van Pelt.
Van Pelt.
That's the villain in the first one. Except for he's got a different first name, I think. I think it's supposed to be the son of the villain from the first movie or something. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Well, it depends on if in Jumanji, because like the lore behind it, was he a real person, in Jumanji, or was he just a created magical? In this context, it would be a video game character, an NPC. Was he actually conscious, or is he just kind of like just another piece in this game?
That's a good question, because they make it obvious that the NPCs are not conscious. But
he's a bit different.
But him, like Van Pelt, is he? Because in the original they're not NPCs. They're what are they? They're part of the. At least in the video game, you could describe it away. Oh, that's an NPC. But when you go by the board game, like, what do you call those characters that are living inside of Jumanji?
Yeah, right. Because like in the original Jumanji, because you're talking about he's the hunter guy, right?
Yeah.
He feels like a real person because he comes and gets thrown into our world and just kind of doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
But then he was also a hunter in Jumanji, and that's all he did was hunt. And so he felt very one-dimensional, like.
Right. Well, it's like, also you gotta ask, where are you gonna get your canon from? Because Jumanji is based on two books, two children's books, Jumanji and Zathura. And in the original Jumanji book, there are no characters like Van Pelt. In fact, there's not even an Alan Parrish or anything like that. It's just Judy and, what's his name? And they just deal with, as far as I know, they just deal with the animals. They don't actually deal with people or anything. And then the only other canon you can go by is the cartoon series. And in the
Jeez. Okay.
And in the cartoon series, there are people in Jumanji that Peter and Judy interact with, and Alan, that I believe are real conscious people.
Were they trapped by the game, or were they kind of just born into the?
It's been so
world?
long that I watched it, but I believe they were just Jumanji inhabitants. I don't think they were. Then again, I'd have to watch it again. I don't know if I want to. It's not the greatest show in the world.
Yeah. Oh, now I remember the cartoon, dude. Like, I totally forgot about that. But now I do remember seeing at least like a couple episodes of it.
Yeah. Van Pelt was a character, I believe. But there was also other people there, and I think they were born and raised inhabitants of Jumanji. But then you got Zathura, and that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's. I guess if you just go off of this movie, and I guess it kind of ties into the books a little bit too.
Right.
Except for the Alan Parrish reference, it kind of makes it seem like this game, there's nothing to it. All the people that are in it are just created. They're just illusions.
Right.
And it's just like this evil kind of magic. Or I guess I wouldn't say evil. I would just say kind of ambivalent kind of magic that is just made to play a game. And whether you win or lose depends on if you live or die, essentially.
What is, oh shit, what was the word you used? Sorry. Ambivalent?
Ambivalent?
Yeah, what does that word mean?
Kind of like saying like they're neutral.
Okay,
there is no good
so I would
or evil.
say the word I would use, even though that word is correct too, I would use the term chaotic.
If you're going, like, if I'm gonna break it down, it'd be like using the D&D little cross section. If you want to put this up, because a lot of people don't know what it is, where you have, what is it? You have, I want to say 6.
Oh, it's 9.
6 different.
It's 9.
Yeah, it's a grid of 9, but there is 3 and 3, and they go across and they interact with each other. But I think it's actually only, instead of 6 things, it's 5 things. You have these different virtues. You have chaotic, lawful, neutral, good, and evil.
Oh, I see what you're saying by 6
and so,
versus 5. Okay.
So across the top you have good, neutral, evil, and then in the middle on the side you have lawful, neutral, and chaotic.
Right.
And then you can show the grid right here because it's going to take me a while to explain. And when you put these all together, they create different aspects of what a character could be. this was used in D&D. You can use this for movies. It's a good way to kind of give a very one-dimensional, but it's kind of like
it's a good character creation tool.
Yeah, because you can build character around it.
Yeah.
So to me, when you're saying chaotic, it's just like it could be chaotic neutral, so chaotic ambivalent.
I would say that's exactly what Jumanji is.
Yeah, it's not trying to do anything malicious. It just exists.
Exactly.
And it's
yes.
Yeah. I guess it is. It might be considered malicious because it does lure people in with the drum beats.
True.
Because whenever you're near it, it just like.
I don't know.
And then curiosity gets the best of people.
Oh, but yeah, we should cut short at some point because we can go on a long time about what's the motivation. Like, it's interesting 'cause you almost look at Jumanji as a predator. It's using the drum beats to lure people in. So, is that being evil or is it just trying to get a meal or something?
I don't know. Well, because it's not completely evil. Because once it has them trapped, you can still get out if you beat the game. And so it's just like.
Jigsaw also lets you get out if you beat the game. And he's a villain.
Yeah, but he doesn't see himself as a villain.
True. Yeah, but that's
what I mean by like.
But like Will
ambivalence.
Wheaton,
there's no true one way that they're going.
But like Will Wheaton says, the villain is the hero in his own world. That's what they're supposed to be. Otherwise, they're kind of a weak and boring villain.
I guess so. I guess we're just trying to make. Well, is that fair to make Jumanji into a character?
Well, like I said, I like the idea of it being a chaotic, ambivalent, just force of like nature.
Yeah, like it was made by some witch doctor, and so it has to adhere by its rules, and so it's not doing anything. It just does. It just exists, and that's just what it is.
Right. Yeah. Like but then again, like we get on that whole conversation of like the villain from, or what do you ever want to call it, the monster from The Thing. It doesn't think, it doesn't have motivation, it just does. It's just evil for the sake of just, so...
It's like a literal parasite. It has no goals of taking over the world, that's what it's built to be.
It's just an animal.
So that's what the thing...
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess it's just an animal in that kind of aspect.
Yeah.
Because without using outside kind of like lore, because in a lot of times like in these kind of movies that are based on something else, you kind of have to take that into account, like the books, but you also have to take into account, keep it itself. Keep it in a little vacuum.
Right.
And so since we don't have any more information on, Jumanji, we don't have like what they do in a lot of horror movies nowadays.
Right.
Is it's the same actor. I can't remember what he was. He was in Men in Black. I think he played the cockroach when he was disguised as a human.
Oh,
it has that guy. Like that movie with the Bugle character or whatever. He explains what Bugle is, and so the good thing in this movie, you didn't have somebody explaining what Jumanji is.
Vincent D'Onofrio. Sorry, I had to.
There you go.
Well, that's what that's kind of what the actor. That's like all he does now. He goes into horror movies, and then
he's just exposition dump.
Yeah, exactly. He's the exposition dude.
The symbol is associated with a pagan deity named Bagul. He consumes the souls of human children.
Which is lazy writing, but
So I do appreciate that they kept the mystery about Jumanji. It's like you can kind of infer this was maybe made by somebody. Maybe it just spawned out of nothing. I don't know, because it keeps washing up on shore.
I kind of like keeping it as a mystery. Where did it come from? Like The Cube, the movie The Cube. The sequels kind of ruined it by explaining where the cube came from. Where in the first movie, that's like, it's just a mystery. Where'd it come from? Nobody knows,
Yeah, like it gives you like enough of the backstory. Like, it might have started this way, but I really don't know. So you can kind of see like, okay, it did start somewhere, but that somewhere doesn't. The whole point was that somewhere doesn't matter. What matters is now, the thing. And
A recommendation from Jared: if you haven't seen The Cube, check out The Cube. It's a great movie.
I second that.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of fair when you have something that kind of detailed, you can make it into a character, sort of. Kind of like how in like the Mad Max movies, the world is almost like a character. Like it has such personality to it that it sets itself differently than what other movies. Like if you made a movie based in today, that world would not be a character. It'd just be the normal world. But when you start adding all this detail to it, making it its own separate thing, it's almost like it's its own character.
Right.
Like the world. Because I don't know how to explain that. There's probably somewhere I can probably look up that someone explains what that would be kind of called, but that's just kind of how I think of it as. And
right. One of the problems I had with the movie was, okay, like, I agree with you. Maybe there shouldn't be any more callbacks, but the problem I had is I kind of wish they kept some of the music. Maybe they couldn't for copyright music reasons, but I think it really would have been better if they kept the music from the first movie. There's even a part in this movie where someone is swinging on a vine around the what do you call that? The climax. And God, it would have made that part so much better if they had the music from the first movie when he's swinging on the vine.
Yeah.
Like towards the end of the movie.
I'm sure that they would have been able to keep the music because it was probably the original score anyways.
Yeah.
But if not, make something in the same kind of vein. Because I now that you mention it, when I think back, I don't think of any music in this movie. The new Jumanji.
I remember thinking about the music while I was watching it, and honestly, it's very middle of the road, just, you know...
It does what it does, it doesn't...
Exactly, it's kind of boring, you know, it's... Yeah, there was something memorable about the music, where when you think of the first movie, you know the music, you know?
It's probably just because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I bet you if you were to play, like, music near me, I'd be like, oh, what is that? I remember that. Like, even if I couldn't, you know...
Right.
Connect it, I would still, like, have fond feelings about it or something.
Right,
But this one, I don't know. Like, there's probably campy action music at certain points because it was made to be kind of like that. But because it's campy, I'm probably gonna be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. Is like a lot of this movie, I don't think is gonna be that memorable. Like, if I think about the first Jumanji, I can instantly picture Robin Williams stuck between floors.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was like the elements of the game that came through. The monkeys stealing the cop car, and you know the police officer not knowing what's going on, and he's just having Jumanji thrown at him, and he's just like, what the hell? And his car is destroyed. Yeah. And so it's like those kind of moments don't exactly exist in this movie.
You could quote the hell out of the first movie. Can you remember any, like, do you feel like quoting this movie? Is there anything specific? Like, the first one has so much, like, me and my brother, probably my sister too, we'd drive my parents crazy whenever we'd watch the movie. We'd all yell at the same time, "Fine! Take it!" And it would drive my parents crazy. And then, of course...
No, this one...
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything really quotable except for, you know, what's ever in the trailer, you know?
Yeah, but most of it is just, like, kind of jokes or just, like, the characters bagging on each other. Which is kind of indicative of a lot of movies nowadays. This one's fine. Other ones, I feel like it's too ad-lib to where it doesn't have coherency to it.
Right.
This one feels a little bit like it could be ad-lib, but it's streamlined and it doesn't feel like there's stuff that's there that shouldn't be. That's
right.
This kind of thing. The only quotable thing I would say is the Alan Parrish one. It was like I could almost quote it. I'd have to watch the movie again.
Right. But then again, the original Jumanji, we watched that. When I was a kid, we watched that movie a million times, so, you know, maybe that's why it's so quotable to me, you know.
Sure, but I feel like this one's still not going to have it.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking back to key moments, and it's like I can remember some of the moments in this one, but those are my fave, just like of the characters using their strengths and their weaknesses at a certain point, and maybe it's kind of funny and a joke, but there's nothing that's like, if I do remember it, I don't really care for it.
Right.
Because like the first one... What I remember about it is, like, those different moments I'm talking about, those were different board game pieces. Like, in a board game, you would see the text pop up and this happens. That happened in real life. So, the one for Robin Williams was he got stuck between the floors.
Right.
That was a part of, like, one of the spaces that he landed on. There was one that set the monkeys loose on our world. It's
a sec. The one where he's stuck in the floor. Wait, see. Damn it, I used to have that one memorized.
Oh, the actual text?
Yeah, something... damn it, I don't remember. I just remember something about now the ground begins to quake. I mean, I started
it was quicksand. Remember that was a thing in the 90s, was just quicksand?
Oh, yeah, everybody, like, we were all scared that eventually we're going to have to run into quicksand at some point. We're going to have to know what to do.
The thing is I grew up and I'm still in the Mojave Desert, and so sand was around me all the time, so it did make me a little nervous kid about sand.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to be walking home one day and fall into a pit of quicksand, which is not a thing here, but I was still afraid of it.
Right.
Back to the spoilers of this movie, like, I don't think there is any. There's kind of one with I mean, people know Nick Jonas is in the movie, right?
Come on, let's go.
I'm Alex.
Watch your step in here. So gnarly.
I didn't. In fact, the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm going, I know that guy. Where do I know him from? I'm not sure. It wasn't until after the movie. Oh, I think it was like towards the end I realized it, and as the credits were going by, I'm like, I was right. One of the Jonas Brothers.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's not a spoiler that it is Nick Jonas. No, I was just saying because like there's just like his character in this movie.
Oh, you mean who he is?
Yeah.
I kind of knew as soon as they showed him, like, oh, okay. So I'm waiting. I'm like, they're gonna show him, right? He's gonna come up, right? You know.
Yeah, because it was immediate. Like, well, no, you got the hints enough from the beginning of when they couldn't select that character. Right. Like, you go, okay, that's fine.
That was another problem I had with the movie. Was the opening was weak as hell. Like, everybody remembers the opening to the original Jumanji. I mean, it was long, it was drawn out. And this one, they're like, we gotta get this out of the way as quick as we can. We just gotta do it, we gotta cut. They did it, like, very modern horror movie style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wonder if they chose not to show it because it's very similar to the beginning of the first Jumanji.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done it in a way that would be creative and new. But I don't know. That's a good point, though.
Was that even necessary? Was his character even necessary at all?
I think it was just technically, I guess, another callback to the original. It was just it was kind of the same plot structure.
Yeah, well, but that was the point of that character. Was he even makes a reference to the Robin Williams character?
Right.
We're talking vague. Should we just kind of spoil it now? Because it's not that big. To me, it's not that big of a spoiler.
I think we've already given it away. I mean,
yeah. Well, because like. Someone gets trapped in the game, and they come across him because he's, you need all 5 characters to beat the game because they all have different strengths and weaknesses that kind of apply to the, I don't want to say puzzles, but the key points of moving forward in the quest that you would call for, this game. And the character is Nick Jonas's character, or who he plays. And the reference that they made to Alan Partridge was
Alan, damn it! If you didn't say Partridge, Parrish.
Sorry. Yeah, I keep mixing up with that. But they come across him, and he's in this jungle hut, kind of cool little, like, base kind of thing. And they're on one part, it's scratched. Alan Parrish was here, and they're like, "Who was Alan Parrish?" And this is a part I did like. I thought it was actually kind of sweet and sentimental. Was almost verbatim, Nick Jonas's character says. This is the house that I'll say this is the house he built. I'm just the guy that's just living in it, living off of what he built.
Right, yeah.
Something along that lines. And I thought, okay, that's kind of self-referential because everyone's like saying with movies that are remakes or sequels or whatever, they're just basing it off of IPs because those IPs did all the hard lifting and established something memorable.
Right.
And now this movie's trying to make the money off of it. That was kind of a self-referential thing, saying Robin Williams was probably the biggest factor of why the Jumanji movie was even good at all.
Right.
And we are just living in that. And I felt like that was like a whole explanation for, or it was just kind of saying that, kind of almost breaking the fourth wall. And I was like, that's kind of sweet and kind of self-aware. Like, they know what's going on. They know what movie they're making almost by saying that.
Okay, I like that.
Because, because it should have been like, oh, yeah, he was the guy that built this place. I don't know who he was. That'd be a more realistic thing, but the fact that they kind of go out of their way to say that I am living in what he built.
Right.
So it's meant to be like, yeah, guys, we know what movie we're making. We know the mechanics behind it, and it was kind of like almost grateful for Robin Williams' legacy because this movie got made because of him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, okay, because I was already enjoying the movie at that point. I'm like, you know what you are. Okay.
Right.
Like, yeah, so that's why I've had a hard time, like, when I was just trying to tell you vaguely, because we wanted to talk about the movie, majority on recording, but beforehand, when I was kind of being vague about it, that's what I kind of meant was, like, I like this movie for a lot of aspects, but again, it's not going to be a memorable movie.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to watch it again.
Right.
So that's the issue.
I
It's like,
I might. The airplane scene.
you mean the helicopter scene?
Helicopter. Like, up until that point, I was just watching the movie. Not gonna lie, at that helicopter scene, I actually got immersed. I don't usually get immersed into movies, but at that part, I really, like, enjoyed watching it.
Was it just like the theatrics of it, or was there something a little bit deeper? Because in that scene, like, somebody kind of like loses one of their lives, and then all of a sudden, the game kind of changes a bit.
Honestly, I think it's shallow. You know, same reason why a lot of people watch Transformers. I think it was just exciting for me, is all. It was just this action-packed helicopter scene, you know?
Yeah, that's what I meant, was like the spectacle of like this action kind of thing. Okay. No, I think that's totally a legitimate thing to like movies for. A lot of people are like, oh no, you gotta like it for artsies, and the artsies. You gotta like it for like a deeper meaning. And not every movie has to have that deep meaning. It helps. Yeah. It certainly helps, but...
Well, maybe that's one reason I liked it, because, you know me, I'm not really a big fan of Michael Bay and stuff like that. This movie had a lot of action, but it wasn't so over the top that it was just boring and putting me to sleep.
Where your eyes glaze over and then none of it matters.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like the action was needed where it was, and it was fun. And, you know, it wasn't getting to the point where I'm like, okay. I think that's one explosion too many, you know? I'm sorry, 300 explosions too many.
I was fine with the first 50, but then after that it got a little bit, tiring.
Right.
No, yeah, I think this movie it had restraint. It didn't try to go over the top. Like, they were walking through open fields a couple times, or they were kind of sneaking up on a single little warehouse. Because I think when movies try to be so big scale, like, Transformers destroying like a whole city, that's when you have a hard time connecting with what's going on. You're like, I don't know this. This is just a disaster. Like, and even it could go like the negative way of like, this is no longer fun. There's buildings falling down and potentially people dying. That was a big thing with the Superman movie, was he destroyed so many buildings. A lot of people died, and it's like, I'm having a hard time rooting for what's going on when there's just massacre after massacre, and people literally climbing out of a fallen building.
Right.
I'm not having fun.
And the only way that really works is when you go way over the top. And in my opinion, it kind of does work in Transformers, just because it's gone so far that you're like, you forget that people even exist in those buildings,
Yeah. No, I'm talking about Transformers. I don't want to go off on it.
But speaking of, just real quick, because we're on the subject of that kind of thing, and Dwayne Johnson, have you seen the trailer for, what's it called? What's the old video game?
Rampage.
Rampage. Okay, we should go too far, but I am curious what your thoughts on that is.
I'm fine with it. I don't know how the movie's going to be. A lot of people are upset because it's not following the games 1-to-1.
Oh,
because the games were
that's
people injecting it and then turning into the creatures. This one is just about mutated creatures. I'm fine with that. I think that's totally fine to take a video game into a new direction, because you can't do what the video game does. Plus, they're just slapping the Rampage thing onto it. That's fine. If it's just big creatures destroying buildings, that's what you're wanting to go see anyways, right?
Yeah, and I don't remember too much about the original games, but from what I do remember is there's no plot,
No.
So
there's something to set it up, but there's nothing past that.
So when they first showed the trailer, I'm like, it was like when they first announced a Battleship movie. I'm like, there's no plot to Battleship, and then they add aliens, and this, it looks, at least I think I could buy the premise. Whereas Battleship, there was just no premise to buy.
I love that movie.
I never actually saw it.
I've seen bits and pieces, and it makes me happy.
Well, when it came out, I didn't quite understand watching movies for the sake of them being bad. So now that I'm there, I do want to see that again. Or, at least see it for the first time.
I guess it is bad. Because... maybe we'll see this for another time. I don't know. But that movie's just dumb.
We should save it for
dumb.
A double feature review of that and G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe was okay to me.
Oh, I've told you about how I almost walked out on that movie, right?
No.
The scene at the funeral where he rides up on the motorcycle, no helmet, it's raining. He looks over at the funeral, he turns his head back very slowly, and then just rides away. I just got up right then and just walked the fuck out. Now I think that scene is beautiful, because I don't think you could fit any more cliches into one scene.
No, it was jam-packed.
Yeah, it was like, I don't think you'd be able to fit anything else. It's like it's just stuffed with cliches. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I remember that scene. That was the best. Oh man.
I was just I'm done. Okay, I'm done. So, would you recommend Jumanji, 2000 whatever year, 2017?
Jumanji 2000 whatever.
The alcohol's kicked in, alright? So just
yeah, once. I would say it's going to be a movie you're going to want to watch once and then go, okay, yeah, it was good, and then kind of forget about it.
If you go to the theaters just to see, the highest rated Paul Thomas Anderson movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis, this is not the movie for you.
You're also a prick.
Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. Oh, yeah, that's right. I like this movie. No. But if you like popcorn movies, even popcorn movies that are kind of smart, this is good. Even if you do like dumb ones like Transformers and G.I. Joe, you'll like this.
Well, this one's already kind of, by the time it goes out, it's gonna be on the very tail end of the theater experience. So
good point.
It'll be in time for people if you're looking for a recommendation.
Well, it's definitely a DVD rental for anybody.
Yeah, I would just say just watch it once. Like I said,
again, unless you're
just rent it.
Unless
don't buy
all
it.
you watch is highly rated Paul Thomas Anderson type shit, then yeah, don't rent it. Whatever.
High art circle jerk movies, yeah.
So that was Jumanji 2017, and I just rolled a 5, so I guess we gotta wrap this up. It's a callback to when I, started this. I said...
I haven't been paying attention at all during this whole discussion.
Oh, really? Well, I started off with saying, welcome to Ridgeview Drive. You're stuck here until a 5 or an 8 is rolled or whatever. And I just rolled a 5, so...
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, now the
Okay.
joke is ruined.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then I'll just go ahead and... I won't just cut this out. I'll cut the whole thing. I'm not even going to edit this. It's just... This is it. I'm done. This isn't even going up on YouTube.
What's not going up on YouTube?
This video. It's done. You ruined the whole video. The review of Jumanji 2017.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about
Welcome
it. I didn't
to
know
the
we were
jungle.
actually recording.
Oh! I'm recording. Shit, did I break the law by not telling you? I've been recording you this whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now I'm
Is that it?
definitely putting on... Okay, yeah, no, this is it. Alright.
Okay.
I was...
We ended it 3 times. I love it.